Okay, let's start with the vocabulary. The first word is trade. We saw that in the introduction to this lesson. Trade. What does trade mean? Well, trade very simply means you have something I want and I have something you want. So if the items are similar in value, we can just trade, right? If you have 2 gumballs and I have 1 lollipop, and you don't really want the gumballs, but you want my lollipop, and I want your gum, I don't really want my lollipop, we can trade. I give you a lollipop, you give me the gumballs. Good trade, right? That's trade. But on a bigger scale, right? To trade means to buy and sell goods and services. So think about much bigger scale, a very large scale, like a country making all sorts of goods and services. We talked about goods and services in a previous lesson, but a country offers or makes all types of goods and services. Another country might want those goods and services. Of course, they produce their own goods and services that the other country might want. So they trade these things with each other, and that's what we mean by trade. Okay. Barter. Barter is a type of trading, but barter means that you trade something without money. Now, usually, I gave the example of the lollipop and the gumballs. That is an example of bartering because no money is involved. We're just trading, but we don't worry about money. However, what is the real cost of the 2 gumballs and the lollipop? Are they really equal? Maybe not. But to make it equal, we might say, well, the lollipop is worth 25 cents and the 2 gumballs, they're worth 20 cents. So there's a difference of 5 cents. But that might not mean anything to you and I. We don't care. It's just 5 cents. But for countries that are trading goods and services, they do care about how much exactly their goods or services are worth. So they will assign money to that, and money will be used for the trade. But if it's not important or you think the items are similar value, then you can just trade, and that's called barter. A long time ago, before people really depended on money, they just used barter. They would trade a donkey for some wheat, right? And they would kind of figure out how much the donkey is worth in terms of wheat, and they would barter with each other. So barter is a type of trade, but barter does not use money. Okay. Specialize. What are you good at? Are you good at doing something? Maybe you have a talent for making a good or doing some kind of service. If you focus your talents and develop your skills in doing that thing, then you are specializing in that thing. Now, it's very common that we use the word in after specialize. You specialize in something. And specialize to choose and focus on one kind of crop or product, but it also means to specialize on a certain type of skill. If you're very good with computers and you learn how to code computers, you might specialize in computer programming. That is your specialty. Specialty is a noun. What is your specialty? Specialty. Specialty, which is a noun, and you could say, my specialty is programming computers. Okay? His specialty is practicing law, for example, or a doctor specializes in medicine. Farmers might specialize in growing one type of crop or plant. Some farmers might specialize in growing corn. Some farmers might specialize in growing wheat because they learn that plant, they learn all about it, and they devote all their efforts to it so they can specialize in that certain plant or in that certain field. So, what will you specialize in when you get older? Okay. Rubber. That's an interesting picture for rubber. Of course, rubber, if you have a small ball that you can push and you can bounce and it bounces off the floor, the ball is probably made out of rubber. The bottom of your shoes, if you have tennis shoes, might be rubber. It might be a more high-tech material nowadays, but rubber is used for a lot of different things. The tires on your car, your family's car, those are made of rubber. Because rubber, what is rubber? It's a stretchy material. What does stretchy mean? Stretchy means you can stretch it, right? If you pull it on either side, it moves a little bit. You have some flexibility. So it's a stretchy material that is used to make things like tires and boots. That's another good example. Do you have a pair of rain boots? They are made of rubber, right? They protect your feet from the rain. So that's rubber. Next, we have wheat. I mentioned this before. Wheat is a grain that's grown in a lot of countries, and it's a grain used for making flour. So if you like pancakes, you are eating wheat that has been ground into a white powder we call flour. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's brown. Depends on how they make it. But it's the wheat is grown in the fields, very similar to rice, right? Rice is another food that we eat. And by the way, wheat, rice, corn, we call these things staples because they are the basic food for many people around the world. They're like a staple food. Rice, wheat, corn, many other types of food that farmers will grow, we call those the staples, right? Because they kind of form the basis of diet for people around the world. Okay. Port. What is a port? Well, you've heard of airport, right? An airport is where airplanes come and fly. That's where the airports gather, right? They land there and they take off there. But there's also a similar place for ships. And in fact, port is a much older word than airport, right? Ports have been around for thousands of years, for as long as human beings have made ships and they carry goods by ship to a certain place. That place that becomes convenient for the ships to come in and to stay and then to leave, that place is called a port. And cities and towns and villages grow up around it. Well, villages, towns, and cities will grow from ports because they become very busy places for human activity. So a port is a city, town, or other place where ships can enter and leave. It's usually a natural, nice area for ships. Deep water, it's protected from big waves. These places become ports. San Francisco is an important port in America. There's another important port at Incheon, right? That's an important port as well. So basically, it's just a place for ships to come in and leave. And like I said, port has been around for such a long time that when the invention of airplanes came to be, they thought, well, what should we call the place where airplanes come and leave? Well, let's call it an airport, okay? So they used an old word for a new technology. And that happens a lot. Okay, so that's port. Dollar. Dollar is the name of money used in the United States, but also many other countries as well. Other countries also use dollars. So it's not just the United States. Other countries like Australia, they use the dollar. Canada uses a dollar. And many other countries also use dollars as the name of their money. And the United States currency, though, is used very commonly around the world because it's kind of like a standard now. So many people will convert their national currency into dollars and then maybe go to another country and use the dollars there. It's very useful if you travel or for trade. Okay, those are our vocabulary words for today.
Lesson 12. Countries Trade Goods. Trade. To buy and sell goods and services. Barter. To exchange one thing for another without using money. Specialize. To choose and focus on one kind of crop or product. Rubber. A stretchy material that is used to make things like tires and boots. Wheat. The grain used for making flour. Port. A city, town, or other places where ships can enter and leave. Dollar. The name of money used in the United States.